there's been a lot of simping for China recently. I think the first thing, and let me pull up my rundown before I forget the order. So the Washington Post published this story titled "Trump Views China's Communist Party as a Threat, Whereas Young Chinese see it as a ticket to a better future." And the dateline is in China. Did she have a gun to her head when she wrote this story? This Anna Fifield? Is it Fifield? I think it's Fifield. We'll just say Fifield.
I think it is Commie Dick Sucker.
This is how the story goes. It's she writes the overwhelming humidity of the Chinese summer was not enough to stifle the ardor of the crowds of 20-somethings honoring Mao Zedong, the founding father of communist China. Some took fairground-style miniature trains, while others ran 3 miles through the heat to reach the giant statue of a young Mao, China's equivalent of Mount Rushmore, staring out of the Xinjiang River. And then she gets a quote from this 22-year-old university student who said, "My grandmother was so happy when she knew that I was coming to Changsha," which is where this communist Mount Rushmore is. "She told me, 'You must go visit Chairman Mao.'" Like, what the fuck is this type of bullshit? Like, it is like the
democracy dies in darkness, and it's
crazy.
In their fucking newsroom.
It's absolutely insane. Like, you would expect this shit to be coming out of a North Korean propaganda outlet, or let alone any Chinese propaganda
100%.
Essentially. So Sarah Jacobs chiming in here. Young Germans see the Nazi Party as a great opportunity for their futures. Very similar to that. You could write that headline in 1939 and say, with that exact, right. I wouldn't be surprised if that's an actual headline in the Washington Post from 1939 or the New York Times. It's insane. And the Washington Free Beacon also reported. Let me pull this up because I forgot to pull this up. The New York Times apparently scrubbed all of its ad revenue from China. Was that it? I'm trying to
something like that, or their ads themselves in their
I found the story. I found the story. The headline reads, "New York Times quietly scrubs Chinese propaganda." They deleted hundreds of advertorials that the Chinese Communist Party paid to publish on its website. And a Times spokeswoman told the Free Bacon that the move is a reflection of a decision to stop accepting ads from state-run media, saying, quote, "We made the decision at the beginning of this year," beginning of this year, to stop accepting branded content ads from state-run media, which includes China Daily. And China Daily, they've had a partnership with the Times for a while. It was a very cozy relationship between the China Daily has a very cozy relationship with the Chinese Communist Party, as well as how they've cozied up to American institutions, the NBA, Harvard University, you name it, really, Disney.
But it's totally insane to me that the Washington Post would post something like this and actually write a full article on it. It's like saying that the Nazi, what was it? I forget the actual name of it, but the Nazi youth, and saying that was good for the kids and stuff. This is fucking disgusting. It is so evil that they are simping for the nation. That is everything that they claim that Trump is.
Right.
Not anything. Is that Trump is. They claim that Trump is going to put gays in camps. Mm-hmm. That Trump is going to put women in red robes. That Trump is going to do all this kind of stuff. While China has put 1.5 million Muslims into fucking re-education camps.
Yeah.
This is a genocide level event that is happening in our fucking lifetime. 10th in mind.
And I think CNN, who you wouldn't think would report on something like that, they put out a report about how, I think somewhere close to 80 former prisoners of these re-education camps underwent sterilization. And that's, I mean, it's just a sliver of what China has done to the Chinese Communist Party has done to these Uyghur Muslims. It's terrible.
It is. And we don't know the full extent of what's happening. And I call it re-education death camps. And the reason why I call it that is because they are going to work these people to death. They don't care about these people's lives.
Yeah.
They really, really don't. And we're going to sit here and say that America is the worst country and that all this kind of stuff. And we're going to have these fucks in Washington Post say that American life is worse than whatever in the world and then come and simp for China.
Yeah.
It angers everyone.
Yeah.
And it should. It really, really should. And it showcases that these people do not care about what is right and what is wrong. Journalists do not and will not have the authority of what is moral in this world. And it showcases with the Washington Post, with them simping for China like that they are for this. And like New York Times, CNN, everyone who wants to like gasp when Trump says China virus or some shit like that.
Yeah. They're how dare you?
Yeah, exactly. They're so transparent. They don't care. They don't give a shit. If I really cared and I was Jake Tapper, or if I was that fuck who runs CNN, who ran NBC while, Harvey Weinstein was fucking everybody and raping everyone, I would come out completely against China and just article after article, report after report, be on national television all the time, because this is millions of people that are being. I mean, it's when I saw that drone footage of them all of them shaved heads sitting down on their knees, and I mean,
oh, it's terrible.
It is. I mean, imagine your uncle was living in China and he's a Muslim.
Yeah.
Imagine my dad was living in China and he's a Muslim. That's how I'm viewing this thing.
Yeah, it's relatable.
And watching them simp for China is just,
it's disgusting. Yeah. Reading some Habibi comments here. Wonder Kimmy, Simping for the Nation is a good band name. Actually, yeah, it's really pretty good. Let's see. Boris Faraj, have the New York Times even mentioned Uyghurs yet? I think they have, but never to the extent in which it's something that is used to talk about human rights. I remember, and I think actually the Wall Street Journal originally reported on it when John Bolton's book was coming out, the excerpt about President Trump discussing allegedly through a translator about these re-education camps with President Xi, essentially saying that
100%,
essentially 100% saying that Trump knew that there were re-education camps set up in China, in Xinjiang, that there were over 1 million Uyghur Muslims who are being detained there, as well as other political dissidents. And he just was like, yeah, build them. But that probably was highlighted in the New York Times because they wanted to use it as a tool to dunk on Trump, which we actually don't know if that 100% happened.
Essentially,
we don't know because no one decided to do any fucking follow-up.
Right.
Like they didn't flesh the story out. It was just like John Bolton wrote it in his book, therefore it must be true. Like, we actually don't know if that was actually true. It's just, it drives me nuts.
It really does. And you have people like like Acosta, like Brian Stelter, and all these fucks. Think like when you had that BBC report with the consulate of China, and he was interviewing him, and he showed that drone footage.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Acosta actually believes he's on the same level as that journalist. That he's combating some sort of fucking evil in the United States.
Yeah,
that is happening right now. Like, this is the type of when I'm thinking about it, how journalists are completely full of shit. They are.
I mean, we
I
are.
wanted to say 100%.
I have to think.
No.
I have
You're
to
not
take,
full of shit.
no,
You're full. You're full.
I know I am
you're full of
because
cum.
I have to take like I have to take like 4 shits in the morning. That's how much I know. That's how I know I'm so full of shit. Mickey White chiming in. This is what the Nazis did, for fuck's sake. It's very, very true, and it's very
It is.
sad that nobody. We saw that BBC interview. That one journalist who actually did a very good job pressing the Chinese ambassador to the UK about that drone footage of the train platforms where you saw hundreds of men, women. I don't know actually if there were any men. You couldn't actually tell if there were any women because every prisoner on there had their head shaved. Yeah, and they were blindfolded and bound up on their knees, and so. Yeah, it's a terrible situation, and
we're watching it.
The journalist did a really good job pressing him, but of course, like the ambassador just deflected. Is like, this could have been fake. This could have been doctored. And, you don't know where this footage came from.
Yeah, it's so disgusting.
Yeah,
it's so disgusting, and you have no other report coming on it.
Yeah.
Like
the other thing, and Patrick Talbot brings this up, the NBA ran camps where kids were abused in China to get more Chinese basketball players. That is something we talked about last week. There's a huge bombshell, and we haven't seen any follow up. There is a podcast I was going to listen to before this. I didn't have a chance to, but Bomani Jones of ESPN, who he's a pretty big lib. But actually, I was told by a friend that he addresses the China situation, and I'm hopeful it's actually good. I'll report back and let you know how it is, because anytime any sports commentator decides to discuss China, usually they're breaking some level of protocol because, like. The NBA trying to keep a lid on their NBA camps in China. I can imagine there's probably like a gag order at some of these sports publications to not talk about China. Could totally see it.
And seeing that the Washington Post and the New York Times aren't reporting on it, it gives the game away.
Yeah,
it gives it the fuck away. Maggie, Dave, like all these people who are prominent journalists within Washington Post, within New York Times, they do not give a shit about human rights violations. They don't care about being actually there for the people that matter.
Yeah.
They don't. They only care about their retweets. They only care about making sure that the book gets published. They only care about them fucking selves. And it is disgusting.
Yeah.
And that is what journalism is.
Yeah.
It is political activism at its finest. I was naive as fuck because when I came here from the UAE, I honestly thought that like there was a independent agency who would like an ethics committee for journalism here in the United States, but there isn't. There isn't. And
that's what the list is. The list is the ethics committee of journalism.
Exactly right. If journalism of celebrities, of fucking politicians, all of that. That's what the list is. But to think that there is nothing on here, like Sean Hannity interviewing Trump. It's disgusting. That's not.
Oh yeah, I love.
But
my favorite, those are my favorite interviews because he always, Sean Hannity always comes in. He's just be like, President Trump, you're awesome. Please explain.
That's exactly what it is. But the funny thing is, then you have Joy Reid, and then you have Chris Hayes, and then you have Maddow, and then you have fucking Stalter, and then you have all these people who are not. This is not what journalism is. I honestly think there should be an ethics committee for journalism because right now, journalism isn't what they want you to believe it is. It's not. It's political activism. And Brian Stelter in his fucking newsletter is prime example of that shit.
Yeah,
It's
we're gonna
prime fucking example.
I
To
just want to,
have
yeah. I was
Go
gonna
ahead.
talk about this earlier, just because it's, you know, we after we did our show yesterday, I'm sorry, not yesterday, last week, literally the next morning, Herman Cain died,
Right.
and like and he died from coronavirus, and he was in the hospital for a month, and he likely got it at this Tulsa rally that Trump had, and everybody was focusing. Everybody was just fucking dunking on him. But the worst part about it was that then you had, on the same day, you had John Lewis's funeral. You had Obama you had George W. Bush, you had Bill Clinton, all giving eulogies. A lot of them using politics, and I don't really give a shit if they politicized John Lewis's funeral, because that John Lewis is a political figure.
Right.
I think he wanted that. But it was all of a sudden, in terms of the whole coronavirus deal, all of a sudden it was okay to go to church. And, but here, and the reason why I bring this up is because as you talk about Brian Stelter and people like them, this dude comes out with a tweet and just drives another media cycle about how Fox News viewers tuned out of the John Lewis funeral. And Jennifer Rubin piled on it. Yeah, Brian Stelter. And Jennifer Rubin piled onto it, insinuating that basically all Fox News viewers are racist. Like, or
while you have all these left fucking, not even left viewers, but journalists, blue check journalists dunking on Herman Cain.
Yeah.
And not even giving a shit about all the things that he came up to be. I mean, Herman Cain is a success story of what America is.
Yeah.
Just like John Lewis.
Yeah.
Like it's 100% just like
essentially.
I don't have any more whiskey to drink.
Yeah, you want to get some whiskey? I'll read some comments so you get some whiskey.
No, I'm done. I'm done. I have no more whiskey.
You don't have enough sauce?
No, I have.
Shut the fuck up and go get it. I'm going to read some comments. Carlos chimes in here saying China, through their forced abortions of Uyghur program, shows their support of women's reproductive rights. WAPO, probably. So, Sarah Jacobs, hatred is a China virus too. Danielle C with a question: why is the media unwilling to report on this properly? I know they suck generally, but what narrative does this help them with? That's a very good question, Danielle. And I honestly think, I think that it's hard for people to actually, you know what? Fuck it. We're going to talk about this right now. We're going to save this to the end of the show, but there was a MSNBC journalist. She, I believe, was a producer. She quit her job this week, like a day or two ago, essentially saying that
100%.
Essentially 100% saying she wrote this open letter saying that that the news networks are a cancer, and that they stoke division deliberately, and they block diversity of thought and amplify fringe voices for the sake of ratings. And this is the root reason why this doesn't get covered properly. When things are going to shit, it is no longer the media's job to cover things fairly. It is now become the media's job to stoke the flames of division, sow more discord, because the more people that watch the news because they're concerned, like they're concern trolling. They are trying to get people to watch their networks. When things are going well, people don't tune in. If you look at during the Obama years, I think the ratings for MSNBC and CNN were in the gutter because people, when you're winning, you don't care. When you're losing, or you are in the opposition or in the minority, you're angry. And when you look at, say, people like Sean Hannity of Fox during the Obama years, he was fucking pissed night after night about what Obama was doing to the country. Whether you believed it or not, I mean, he was an opinionated commentator, an opinion host, but he was driving a fucking news show that was thirsty for ratings, getting millions of dollars in ad revenue, and it was to the point where it was just so like night after night, it got tiresome. But then you would expect that rhetoric to sort of fizzle out during the Trump years. Wrong again. Sean Hannity found a way to continue to be mad, and it was all about people trying to take out President Trump. So how do you do it? It's constant anger all the time. It's no longer about reporting what's fair or what's true. It's simply about driving a narrative and trying to make sure that things stay as chaotic as possible so that people will watch your shit or read your shit
or tune into your network in general.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. And that's why you have people like Maddow and Hayes and Hannity and Tucker and all these kind of things. Like this isn't journalism anymore. Cable news has a need to keep up with online, Facebook, and all that kind of stuff. That's why you have a dedicated fucking New York Times reporter on what's the top 10 shared stories on Facebook.
Yeah.
Like what's your grandma what is your grandma looking at Facebook? And they have a dedicated person on that. They don't care about truth. Journalism doesn't give a fuck about truth. They care about money and they care about what politics they want to push. That's why look, CNN, their anchors, they are not journalists. Don Lemon, Chris Cuomo, fucking the blonde chicks, none of these people are fucking real journalists. At least on Fox News, you have like someone like Brett Breyer, and you have
I mean, like there are a few journalists on TV or news network anchors who actually do like a good job. Like I think Brett Baer does a good job, and
Chris Wallace does a good job.
I mean, like
to an extent, does a good job.
Yeah, I think Jake Tapper used to do a pretty good job. I think if you never read Jake Tapper's Twitter, you probably would think your impression of him probably would stay relatively positive. I honestly think that Twitter has ruined the reputation of most journalists just because that is the venue in which they can sort of just express their views with no filter, and they don't have essentially an editor.
100%.
100%.
And they don't. And hold on.
I'm
drinking some sake right now. And they don't. And the thing is, they want to pretend that they are unbiased and that they are like giving you the neutral perspective on things. And you have Brian Stelter. Look, the reason why I keep on bringing Brian Stelter up is because people like to think that not just people, but him himself, he likes to think that he's an objective journalist. He's not. He's a shit-faced motherfucker. I swear
Go off,
to
King.
God.
Go off, King.
I swear to God, I will punch him in the face. I don't give a fuck. I will punch him in the face and make sure everybody knows what a piece of pussy fucking piece of shit this motherfucker is. Like him and Darcy, they don't give a fuck about objective journalism. That's why you never see anything about MSNBC gaffes on their newsletter. All you see is Fox. Yeah. And the reason why that is because they think they're important enough to try and drag down Fox and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's not going to happen.